少年ジャンプス。
Oh shit. It's that time, baby! Welcome back to ShonenChumps, the only anime podcast on the gosh darn internet. And if you didn't know what we do here, we hang out and we talk about anime. Anyways, it's been a little while. Hope you haven't missed us too much. Actually, fuck that. I hope you missed us a lot. Anyways, here we are with a new episode for you, and you're probably well aware from the title, but we're doing something that we haven't done in a little while. And, oh, I forgot to introduce ourselves. It's been so long that I can't, oh, God
I was gonna bring
damn it!
I was gonna bring that up that you forgot to introduce
The whole
us.
intro spiel is fucked. Let's try that again.
No, let's keep going. Okay, fine, let's try it again.
Hello and welcome back to ShonenChumps, the only anime podcast on the gosh darn internet. As always, I'm Brennan.
I'm Sean.
I'm Dylan.
Fuck! There it is!
Oh my god.
And if you didn't know what we do here, you know what we do here. Anyways, we're doing a movie review today, or a movie comparison, and that is between the Battle Angel OVA from 1993 and the brand new movie in theaters right now,
Alita
Battle Angel.
Okay, so pretty much what happened is that we all watched the Battle Angel OVA at home, like in our own separate homes. We all watched it. And then we came together and went to the movie theater and watched Alita Battle Angel, the Hollywood film.
Yes.
So, I don't even know. Should we start this? Should I ask you guys what you thought about these things in one sentence? What about the OVA? Dylan, what did you think about the OVA in one sentence?
What I thought about the OVA in one sentence is this was fun and it looked nice, but I'm not really thinking about it anymore. Period.
Brennan?
I enjoyed this a lot, and it was fun for what it was.
Nice. So when I saw it, I thought, this is why people think dubs are bad. I watched the dub, by the way, of the
Sure.
old OVA.
Right.
But also, this told, like, a remarkable amount of story in 55 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's only 55 minutes.
It was very condensed.
Yeah.
And I feel like maybe it might not have aged as well just because of the pacing and what might have been, you know, more acceptable in 1993 or like of anime in 1993 when it's just like action and crazy nonsense happening on screen. You're not really thinking too much necessarily about what you're watching.
Right.
I mean, which is like a huge, broad, sweeping statement to make about anime from the 90s, which isn't true at all. But, I mean, you know, in the context of an OVA where it's completely starts and finishes in itself,
Right.
I feel like it pulled off what it was trying to do.
Yeah, and this, like, OVA is technically 2 different episodes.
Yeah.
That cover the first and second volumes of the Alita, or Battle Angel
Manga.
manga. Which is, yeah, Dylan?
Can we do something? Can we define what an OVA is? Like, I
Right.
know what it stands for,
Right.
but I mean, I guess in, like, we've watched a bunch of anime series, and then there's like an OVA,
Right.
and I always just took it as like I don't know, like a
Like an
standalone
extra?
little bonus episode.
Yeah, I think I
but
can
this was
describe
like
it.
a movie.
You know on Netflix when you're watching BoJack Horseman Season 1?
Yeah.
And then after it ends, months after, they drop a Christmas special that's like 20 minutes, or maybe it's like 8 minutes, I don't even remember, for BoJack?
Yeah, it's like a full episode, yeah.
Okay, yeah. That's the OVA for BoJack.
Yeah.
Sure, no, I understand
So,
that.
yeah.
So, but the thing is,
Original
which I
video
didn't know, but
animation.
like I looked it up after, is that like this wasn't an OVA to an anime series. It was an
Right.
OVA to like just the manga.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
a standalone
So
project.
yeah, I guess it
original
just like
video
confused
animation.
it confused me because like I always just associated OVAs kind of as like this like
The bonus,
bonus
like,
thing,
extra,
this
right.
like little standalone piece
Right.
that kind of maybe like fleshes out the world a bit. I mean when we did that Blade Runner
Oh, yeah.
thing, and then
Right.
we watched those 3 like animated short films, or actually only one was
There was one anime,
only
yeah.
one was animated. Did we review that for the podcast? I don't know.
I don't think we did.
Yeah,
think
that
we
was
did,
just
yeah.
something we
No.
did as friends. Okay,
Yeah.
so we watched Blade Runner 2049, but before that, the director who directed Cowboy Bebop was responsible for one of the short films that bridged the gap between the two.
Yeah.
From the 80s and to the 2017 one. So yeah, those 3 short films kind of felt like OVAs to me. So this, I guess, I don't know. I guess I just associated OVA with like bonus material, but this doesn't seem like bonus material. This just seems like a film.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, I think like the manga creator had no intention of making an anime that covered the entire series.
Right,
He just
yeah,
wanted
of
this to
course.
be a
Little
two-off
slice,
or a
yeah.
one-off. Yeah.
Sure.
That's interesting. So just so that we don't have to talk about this OVA and then wait a long time so that we can talk about the movie.
Yeah, let's just mash them up
We'll
together.
mash them up all together. What do you guys think about the Hollywood movie in one sentence? Dylan?
Okay, so this was kind of good, but I'm not thinking about it anymore.
This guy saw the movie like 30 minutes ago.
Yeah, fuck.
That's funny.
For my sentence, I guess I'll say that was a lot better than I expected.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, my sentence. I got to think about how to word this. This is a movie about a cyborg girl that can act like a human and a bunch of human actors that act like cyborgs.
Wow. You nailed it. Holy shit.
Woohoo!
You nailed it.
Not that they're not good actors. It's just like, hey,
The
give them
writing-
some motivation in
Dude,
this scene.
Man. So, like,
They're also flat.
before I start complaining, I'm gonna preface this by saying when I initially saw that there was like a Hollywood movie of Battle Angel, I mean, I wasn't like a fan of Alita Battle Angel or just that franchise or the manga at all.
I didn't know it existed.
Actually, wait, before you're going to launch into your thing, just hold that thought. I'm just curious about what were your introductions to Alita? Like, how did you find out about it? Did you know about the manga at all before? Had you heard the name
See,
Alita?
that's the thing.
What?
It's
That's
like,
funny. That's usually like one of my original questions when we started podcast. It's
Yeah,
just been a while.
we're rusty.
Yeah, we're
if
rusty.
you haven't been able to tell.
Yeah.
So whatever you were going to say, just hold on to that for a second. Cause
I guess-
That's exact. That's what I was gonna.
I guess
say.
I'll start. I don't think
Yeah.
I heard about Battle Angel at all until I found out that this movie was being made and that people, or when I saw the initial trailer for this movie with a character with big eyes and everybody's like, "Oh, what's up with this
Freak,
CG thing?
this fucking
girl?"
monster.
Yeah, I just want to like poke her in the eye and see what would happen. Like I was just seeing those comments online,
Right.
And then I found out like, oh, this is based on a manga. I guess that's why her eyes are big. Okay,
Right. Yeah.
so I was like pretty open to it overall, generally, because I had no like preconceived notions for what it should be.
Okay, so yeah,
Yeah.
you didn't know about manga initially or
No,
anything like
no,
that.
no.
Okay, interesting. Brent?
I mean, I'd heard the name, like, just while digging through various sci-fi, just 90s anime-related stuff. You kind of run into it every now and again, but I hadn't looked into it. I've never read the manga. I didn't watch the OVA until now. And, yeah, when I saw the Hollywood trailer initially, it didn't click either. I was like, oh, this is weird. Then I was like, oh, wait, never mind. All of this is connected. And I was kind of grossed out initially. I was like, oh, like, please no. Like, no more shitty Hollywood adaptations of, like, potentially cool manga. I mean, I hadn't actually read the manga, but I was, like, pretty hard-fixed to believe that it was inherently cooler than anything that could be put on screen for a large audience as, like, a CG fuckfest. More or less.
Right.
And when I saw the design of Alita, I was really grossed out. I was like freaking, I was like, man, this is disgusting. Because it just looked so weirdly inhuman. It looked like someone who was uninitiated to like anime or manga or like the character designs from Japan, it's just sort of like they're like, oh, let's translate this directly. Like they've got huge eyes here, so it's gotta work in real life too. And like it just didn't. It was just super uncanny and weird when I initially saw it.
Right.
But I will say that I got over it after watching the actual movie. Yeah, you just kind of get used to it.
Like a minute into the movie, not even a minute. Or like as soon as I saw Alita, I'm like, this totally works.
Yeah,
like her look, I get like it differentiates her from all the people around her. Like it makes her look just like a tinge off.
Right.
And I've seen the comparison shots between the actress that plays her, like in all the scenes, and Alita's face, like digitally recreated.
Right.
And they're very, very similar. So like they retained so much of the detail there. All they did is like expand her eyes and like shrink her mouth area.
Yeah.
Like
they
to
also,
make it look more anime.
Right. They have a reason for that too in the film, which they don't explicitly state, which I actually liked. And it's that she's from Mars, I guess, and like the other people like her from Mars also have similar face shapes and eyes. So the movie is set 500 years from now, more or less, or like more than that. So I don't know if you guys have ever seen those like pictures of like, oh, what would humans look like when they evolve a little more, and like all of our eyes are like super big and shit like that. I don't know. Maybe that's like their weird explanation that they're just like a different sort of species of human from a different planet or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Also, you just remind me that the beginning of this movie opened with the 26th Century Fox thing.
Oh, yeah.
Like we haven't seen that
So
in Futurama
corny.
for the last like 20 years or whatever.
Did it? Oh, I don't even.
It did,
that.
yeah.
That's interesting.
How do you open in like the least original way now?
Right. Yeah. So what I knew about the movie
Yeah.
before was nothing, but on my way to work every day, like I like take the train into the city and then I walk like 15 minutes, and there was this big billboard for Alita, and she's the only character on it, and so I didn't really know what it was, but it said like Alita Battle Angel, and I didn't pay much attention to it the first time, and then I kept walking by it, so I saw like, oh, produced by James Cameron, and then I think it was like directed by Robert Rodriguez. So I was like, oh, interesting.
And they really
Like,
want you
how
to
did
think
I-
that it's a James Cameron movie.
Yeah, it was like
Yeah.
James Cameron presents.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, that's interesting. Like, I don't know anything about this. I haven't heard anything. And so I thought the whole movie was going to be animated. Because she's the only character.
Right. And she's like clearly a CG character.
Yeah, and she's clearly CG. Like, I thought it was going to be kind of like
Tintin?
what's like, yeah, or like Beowulf from a couple of years ago. It's like they have actors do like
But
live
it's like-
motion capture, and it's like their face, but it's
Right.
kind of like altered, like Alita is, but the rest of the characters weren't. So I was
Right.
really surprised, I guess, going into it. I was like, oh, Christoph Waltz is in this movie.
Right.
Oh, Mahershala Ali's
Oh,
in this
really?
movie. Oh, Jennifer
Yeah.
Connelly's in this movie. So that was interesting.
Yeah.
I do think that it does work. What you're saying, like the animation does work. It like took me like a second to get used to it. Just like reckoning the fact that she looks a certain way and extremely different from the other characters, and there is the kind of uncanny valley. So it was like
right. It's like kind of
uncomfortable
Gross.
because she was so close. But what I did like is, like you said, like they kind of explain that she's from Mars.
yeah.
So it gave us kind of a reason.
Yeah, it's
it-
not
it-
like completely out of left field.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
oh, she's the main character. Because, like, I mean, when you look at, what's her name, Gally in the OVA, like, her eyes are gigantic. Even, like, for an anime character.
Yeah, but she doesn't look that different from the rest of the characters. Like,
Sure,
I just
yeah,
associated that with like anime.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah. It's
Yeah.
just, you know.
So it was in that way a bit surprising to see her stand out so much in the live action movie.
Right.
Man, I'm so surprised that like the OVA covers the first 2 volumes of the manga, but this Hollywood movie covers exactly what the OVA covered. Like from
Yeah.
beginning to end, exactly.
It follows the pace.
Everything is there
entirely.
besides the roller derby
Yeah.
shit that they threw in.
Blitzball.
Yeah, essentially.
So what were you expecting from the movie?
I don't know. I thought like maybe they'd take or they'd change more.
Like they added like a little bit of extra stuff with like the berserker body or whatever. I don't know. I'm not sure if that's a thing in
later
the manga.
volumes.
Yeah, I almost like I figure it is, but I thought it was cool that they
like
added
it's got to
that
be
much.
considering how closely they stuck to.
Right.
Also, we don't know how
OVA.
this compares to the actual manga itself. We can only assume that
Right.
that original OVA was a direct adaptation.
Right,
Yeah.
that's true.
Yeah.
But because they followed it shot for shot at the very beginning with like when you see
Ito?
the junk falling down
Yeah.
from Zalem, and Ito goes and picks up the body and he's like,
Yeah.
it lives, and yada yada.
They live. Yeah. Yeah, God. Okay, something I want to bring up, which I don't know if I should bring up now, but I'm just going to do it
Yeah,
because
fuck it.
I was thinking it since like 5 minutes into the movie. Is that this movie like heavily suffers from the Born Sexy Yesterday?
Oh
like,
yeah,
theme.
dude. That's
Like I'm sure you can
very
watch
true.
like a good Nerd Writer video on it, or
Yeah.
like
What
about
does that mean?
okay, this is like a trope in a lot of movies,
Sci-fi especially.
sci-fi, yeah, where like you have this like macho. You don't even need to have a macho male character, just like a male character who's supported by this sexy female that is incredibly naive because she was mentally born yesterday.
It's like in The Fifth Element.
Yes.
Ah,
So like
okay, yeah,
Alita is like sexy, right? I guess like whether or not you personally agree with that, whatever.
like
She
she's
gets, like,
meant to be
Yeah, she's meant to be
physically-
sexy.
physically attractive.
Yeah.
like,
They
female, yeah.
phone it fucking in when she gets
Yeah.
her berserker body because they're like, oh, I guess she's a little older than we all thought. Like
That's stupid. We already established that she's 300.
yeah.
yeah, but you don't know
No.
it until you see the tits and ass on it.
Yeah, because she gets a quote unquote more mature body because that's like what
Right.
she
Yeah.
sees herself as.
Yeah. So yeah, that was like kind of weird.
Yeah, and even okay, so I get it. Like when they wrote the dialogue for like I don't know, maybe the first 20 minutes of the film when Alita is like newborn, basically, like she's figuring out the world and stuff. You can see how hard they tried to make her charming or like have some sort of like wonder and be like cute in that way where it's like, oh, like she has no idea what she's doing, da 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 da.
Yeah.
But she just sounds stupid and it's so forced, and God, this is just like a problem with the dialogue throughout, more or less, which I kind of expected. I was like, oh, this is gonna be like corny as fuck. Like that's what I came.
Every line
into
was
it
corny.
knowing. Yeah, I mean, like for what it's worth, it wasn't as bad as it could be. It wasn't like
No.
a Transformers movie or something, but
Yeah, fuck you, Michael Bay.
yeah, suck a dick. Yeah, just the absolute worst take on mecha anything is Transformers. Hot take, but
Oh, man.
fuck Transformers.
I'll defend
Although
Transformers
apparently-
1. I'll defend Transformers 1.
Yeah, and apparently Bumblebee was really good. I
Yeah.
didn't see it, but it actually got good reviews.
I've heard that too.
Yeah, so that's
But
interesting.
Just the exact same plot as Transformers 1.
yeah, in the 80s. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like I was expecting like more corny dialogue, but at the very beginning they really phoned it in, and it sucks. I hated it.
Oh no, the spider tank's about to crush my dog.
Yeah.
Right. So,
Yeah.
to go back to the OVA for a second, and when watching it, and I didn't even look up the anime till right before we started recording. So I didn't know whether or not there was a series that this was connected to at all.
Right.
And the overwhelming feeling that I had while watching the OVA is that it felt like what I thought an OVA is, which is kind of like a side story, a bonus story, something that is self-contained but doesn't tell you everything about the world. Like the story isn't completely fleshed out, because I think
Right.
that there was a lot here that wasn't told to us about the world.
Yeah.
I don't know, or about Alita or Gali as we'd call her in this. And so I felt like there were things missing, and for that reason it didn't feel like a complete film. But because of what I think of an OVA as being, it makes sense as an OVA. And the fact that this is I guess if I can still call it a side story, because it is a kind of bonus or side story to the manga, that makes sense, because the manga is 9 volumes, and this covers 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Right? So that does make sense, right? I mean, the whole story is told in 9 volumes, and this is just a sliver of the story.
Right.
And for that reason, it is also surprising that the film, the 2019 film, exactly tells that OVA.
Right.
Because, we can see that there is adaptation in that they did try to flesh out the story. And even though it was corny, and I would probably say, like, the 2019 movie didn't really hook me that much. There were points where I was, like, more invested than others, but it was corny. And so I would say it also didn't really have much of a heart. But it did flesh out the story in a satisfying way. Like for example, like the Mars thing, or why that city is floating, and what the story is with the war. We didn't really get any of that in the OVA.
That's true.
So ultimately, I think that was a really good thing that this 2019 film did.
I just want to interject. I think, like, I don't know if it's good overall, like, if it made the story or movie any better. It just made it more like Hollywood. Right. It's like, hey, if whether you're a 6-year-old child or a 60-year-old man, we want you to understand what you're getting into by the end of this movie.
Right.
Whereas, like, that 55-minute anime OVA, I think, told you everything you need to know. There was room for you to explore what you didn't see in your own mind. Like, to think about, why is that city floating? I'm just going to ponder that to myself when this video is over.
Exactly.
You know? But, yeah, I don't know. I agree that it didn't feel like it had a soul, the Hollywood movie.
Yeah. I feel, there's the message, quote unquote, that they try to kind of sell you on. It's like, oh, like, you're okay no matter who you are. Like, be yourself. But it's like, how many times have we seen that, and how many different ways? It's just like, it's boring at this point. So, like, that's not necessarily what I came for. And even with, like, the OVA, when you're watching it, if you don't necessarily even, like, want to fixate on the lore of the world, they just give it to you in brief strokes if you're just there for the action. If you just want to see, like, cool animation, you can just watch the OVA for that. And walk away perfectly satisfied. Yeah.
I think to me, it doesn't feel like necessarily like very Hollywood, like the movie telling us the full story. I think what feels very Hollywood is the way it's, like, corny, and it has it beats you over the head with
like
certain like themes,
the emotional strings come in during the kiss in the rain scene. It's like, whatever. Oh my god,
that's like, very Hollywood. I guess fleshing out the story is okay to me, because to me, once again, I think the OVA, it almost feels like when you watch an indie film or even just like a short film where it doesn't tell you the whole story. It's more like a snapshot, and like you said, Sean, it like you kind of fill in the gaps yourself, but also it feels like this is a teaser for the main project, which is the manga, right? Like, you watch this and you're intrigued by the world, and I imagine in 1993, you know, you see this and you find out that it's a manga, and that it, you know, the author's still working on chapters. And I think this was based on the first 2 volumes, and more volumes were out at the time when this movie came out, or this OVA came out. So I think that would almost, as a viewer, if you really enjoyed it, you would almost be driven to the manga. You would think, like, oh, I should check this out.
It would definitely be motivation.
More of the stories there. So
I think James Cameron, like, got the license to make this movie many, many years ago. And he only just got around to making it now. I mean, like, as a producer.
Interesting.
So, like, it's been in the making, or not in the making, but, like, the intent to make it was there for many, many years to get this off the ground.
Do you know if there was ever a time where he was in talks to direct it?
No, I don't know.
Because that's interesting. I wonder about, and I can't really do anything besides speculate, but, like, I wonder if he had it for a long time, might it have been that he wanted to direct it, but then he was tied up in other things?
Or just, like, red tape.
Yeah,
It's always, like, weird licensing issues when it comes to adapting anime. And
and even just, like, the selection of Robert Rodriguez, I wonder why that decision was made. Not that he did, like, a good or bad job. I'm just saying, like, I wonder why choosing Robert Rodriguez over himself. Maybe he just wanted to oversee the project. Maybe he's busy working on Terminator 6. I don't know.
I'm just looking it up right now. So it looks like Guillermo del Toro brought Battle Angel Alita to James Cameron's attention in the early 90s. And then the trademark was registered by 20th Century Fox in the year 2000 for James Cameron to direct. And he was going to direct it, I think, at like several points, especially 2005.
Holy shit.
Yeah, so this has been a damn long time in the making.
That's a while.
That's interesting. I think that Guillermo del Toro would probably do... he'd probably make a film that I'd enjoy a lot more.
Yeah, you know what?
Adapting this kind of
it would feel a bit less sort of factory made. But I mean, like, at the same time, this was better than I thought it would be. I feel like the OVA felt gritty, not just because of the nature of the animation, but it just felt more adult in the sense that there's a bit more gore, a bit more violence, a bit... like the atmosphere of the whole thing just feels a bit more oppressive than what I saw in the initial like movie trailer for Alita. Like, I didn't think that they would keep the scenes where, spoiler, the dog gets murdered. Like in the in the
I didn't
OVA.
realize that happened in both until right now. I totally forgot. Yeah, in the OVA, the dog gets split apart.
You literally see its organs explode
its
out
intestines,
of it. And then she like goes up to the guts and smears the blood on her face. And she does the same thing.
How it showed blood in this movie and people getting legit stabbed and stuff.
Cut in half.
Yeah, cut in half.
This guy's buddy, or what's his name?
And also she tells him friend. She tells him to fuck off.
Yeah, when she's like fuck your pity or something.
Yeah, when she like puts her hand into his eye.
Yeah. I mean, like, there's some cyborg blood that's where it's like blue and shit, and you're like, okay, PG-13, I get it. But they do stick to some of the more grittier aspects. Like, some guy gets literally crunched by a fucking like weird piece of machinery that's just
those like gears.
The gears,
rolling into each other. Yeah,
he gets owned, man. It's fucked. So I'm kind of happy that they stuck to certain things like that, or even that other bounty hunter getting his face cut off, basically, and then we get like a nice close up of his like mouth and tongue just sort of flapping around.
My
face.
Wait, something just occurred to me. You know that there's going to be like a professor at a university, or maybe a high school teacher, showing people Alita Battle Angel, and when like the dog dies and she gets the blood and puts it on her face, and then her body gets destroyed in the next scene, she gets like the woman body. They're gonna be like the blood of the dog represented a woman getting her period for the first time, and this is the growth of somebody growing up. I've had teachers like that before.
Oh god!
And I'm getting flashes of all the English education.
Man. Every English lecture we've sat through together, and fantasized about dying in.
God, that is such a thing that an English teacher would say.
Holy
Jesus.
shit. Yeah, that's really true. Fuck.
Yeah.
Also, wait, speaking of that scene in particular, I thought it was like really stupid how much importance they gave to the main big bad dude with the saw fingers. I don't remember his name, but he's in the OVA and he effectively serves the same role, but almost like less than halfway into the film when Alita walks into the bounty hunter bar, she like rattles off this speech about how people should be banding together, and it's supposed to be anticlimactic because no one takes her seriously. But even the fact that she was able to attempt this at all and be able to give any kind of credence to the statement that this person's a bad person that we should be working together to defeat, I thought that was just like insanely stupid. Especially that the fact that they didn't build anything up about like the serial killings happening. It wasn't nearly as important. Like when you first hear about it in the film, it's because she just picks up a flyer off the ground and reads it, and it's like, oh, wanted for like the murders of multiple people. It's like it just kind of comes out of nowhere, and then all of a sudden this guy's like the big bad. It's like, ooh, the pacing's all fucked up and it's dumb.
Yeah, it did feel weird. And then he just like drops off for a bunch of the movie, and then he just comes back right at the end
and gets cut in half immediately.
Like, and Mahershala Ali's like, took you long enough. And then when when he
God.
thinks he's going to be okay, and then
Man, the acting in this movie is so stale.
Yeah,
they have some of the best actors in this movie.
yeah,
Christoph Waltz. First of all, wait, this is unrelated, but the idea of like a woman dating Christoph Waltz and then leaving him to date Mahershala Ali is hilarious.
Oh yeah.
That's a very interesting dynamic or love triangle
man.
to be in.
Also, I
there
feel
was
like
one scene I
Christoph.
really liked with Mahershala Ali. I wish I could remember it now.
Was it when you first see him and he's
In the
just
car?
chilling in his taxi or whatever?
No, that was hilarious. No, there was like a good scene, like him acting.
Oh, is it
really
when
well.
the person who plays Sharon? I forgot her name. What's her name?
Jennifer Connelly?
Jennifer Connelly like looks at like when she's approaching Alita as she's holding her dying boyfriend. She like pulls out her little phone or whatever, and it's just Mahershala.
That's
No, once again, that was hilarious. I'm talking about a good scene.
That's actually hilarious
That
when
was-
he's like
I think-
showing up on the phone.
Yeah,
we
I think
all
we
laughed out loud.
Yeah. Another scene I laughed at. Oh, actually, I want to point out that the bounty hunter who keeps dogs was Frank Lapidus in Lost. For Lost fans
Oh
out
my
there, Frank
God.
Lapidus being the pilot.
Pilot. Oh my god,
Holy
Frank
shit.
fucking Lapidus.
Anyway, he has a terrible line where he's like, they're talking about the big bad guy. I don't even remember his name. Growishka. He's like, he doesn't like dogs. I hate people like that.
Yeah, it's like
that line is written for 4-year-olds.
dude,
God damn,
there
that
was
was so
no
dumb.
reason at all for a one-liner to be there. And secondly, if you're gonna deliver a one-liner, make it fucking count. That was like the most piss
Lapidus.
poor
Yeah.
shit. Like he's like he
Well, no,
broke it
it's-
off into 2 parts. He should have just been like, not a dog person or something. Like, come on.
Right.
That infuriated me. I was like, ugh,
He could have said
gross.
like, yeah, something equally cheesy, just different. Like, you mess with the hounds, you're gonna get bit. Like
Yeah,
some
like-
shit like that. When his 5 dogs attack him,
Right.
You know,
yeah, not like
Yeah, of course, that's when.
Well, you were giving me a look like you didn't know what I was talking about.
fuck. Yeah, that was really stupid, and I hated that.
Yeah.
Do you guys think that there's a sequel coming for this? Because it feels like
Honestly,
they left it kind of open.
I hope so. Make your
Yeah.
sequel. Make it a trilogy. Just fucking
Yeah.
do it. Just
Yeah.
show me the end. Show me your mediocre trilogy.
I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be mad if there was a sequel to
Yeah,
this.
just do it.
I also think like for what it's worth, like a lot of the action scenes, like as much as I like to complain about CG just being awful and looking terrible in movies, it didn't look that bad in Alita, and I feel like for a younger audience, for someone who's less jaded maybe, they could probably find like enjoyment in this because it wasn't like poorly paced in terms of action. Every time, like I wasn't sold on the blitzball thing at all, but
That was just like roller derby, pretty
yeah,
much.
more or less. But some of the scenes when they're in the big ring or whatever, it felt pretty kinetic and dynamic, and like the choreography of like the people dying and fighting each other looked pretty cool. And I was like, you know what? This is fine for what it is. I'm not gonna get the same feeling as watching like a piece of classic animation.
Right.
But for it being translated to what it supposedly should look like in real life, this is fine.
I thought this movie looked great.
Yeah.
Like, maybe not amazing, but like they didn't mess anything up. I think
Right.
that's like the biggest compliment I can give them. Like, Alita looks great.
I think, yeah,
And
some
she's
of
also the best acted in the movie.
100%.
Yeah.
No question there. Like, what was Yugo's initial line when he meets her? He drops, like, the corniest one-liner. I can't even remember. Like, after he pushes her out of the way of that Metal Gear, basically, he's like, oh, you're new here, aren't you? Or, like, some bullshit like that.
Yeah, and he says, like, I've never seen somebody take on a sentinel before. or
Oh,
something
yeah, it's
that.
like a
Yeah.
way to casually slip in what the thing is called. Like,
Yeah. Oh, there was a lot of exposition here.
right, yeah.
Like, especially when Jennifer Connelly and Christoph Waltz are walking together, like meeting for the first time, and she's like, "So you gave her her daughter's body, didn't you?"
Yeah, I was like, whoa, hold on.
Just like we're putting it all out on
Pump
the
the
table.
brakes, yeah. Oh god, it's also so bizarre. Like she's like walking out of her house, and then she gets stopped, and she's like, "Let me just look at your hand real quick."
Yeah.
It's like, "Hey kid, come over here," and it's like, "What?"
Also, we like
Like, what a sterile
I was questioning
interaction.
all the time how Jennifer Connelly is everywhere she needs to be whenever she is. Like,
Yeah.
And she's just in the church. What?
she's just there when the guy's dying,
So
like
dumb.
stabbed and bleeding out.
So dumb.
Maybe you
I mean,
can save him.
Like, they tried to follow the OVA exactly in
Right.
that way.
Yeah, I could tell. I was imagining the OVA in my mind, especially near that end scene.
Yeah.
Like,
I also thought it was,
all the time.
like, kind of dumb how they sort of stuck to the pacing in terms of her dying, too, and just being turned into organs, basically.
Right.
Like, it works in the context of the OVA because the entire OVA is paced like that. Like, it's very, like, to the point. It doesn't mince
Yeah.
any words, which is why it's 55 minutes. But in the context of this film, where it's been like fucking 2 hours and we've been given all this exposition and it's been sort of like shoehorned into this, like what we're used to consuming in terms of like Hollywood media, you didn't give her like any time between the moment you see her walk into the elevator with the big mech man and like, oh, what happens to her? She dies, obviously. And then, like, almost immediately after that, seeing her just turn to mulch in Mahershala's office. It's
Dude,
like, what?
Yeah.
I didn't even like that reveal because the way they revealed it in the OVA, the bad guy showed it like, haha, look what I've done. And this one, he's like, oh, I sent her to Zalem.
By the way,
Here's the body. Like, it was just casual.
yeah, it's
It
true.
wasn't menacing at all.
There was a lot less weight.
yeah.
It was just like her eyes and her brain and
Yeah.
stuff, right?
Yeah,
Her
that was
heart
such
or
a
something.
weird reveal.
Yeah.
But yeah, what does he do with that? Like, where does that stuff go?
He had a line. He said, like, is the bad guy's name Nova? Who? Yeah. who
That's
was
the ultimate bad guy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he said
yeah.
like, "Oh, Nova needs body parts for his experiments up there."
Oh, okay, yeah.
That's the only way you get to go to Zalem.
Right.
Zalem?
Zalem?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like slalom. But
Or like
Zalem.
Gotham.
What is that?
Or Gollum.
Slalom.
Like skiing down a hill, I think.
I've never heard that word. That's interesting.
Yeah. Anyway, so that was weird.
Yeah. Wait, we haven't actually discussed this, but like, okay, Mahershala Ali has won 2 Oscars now. One
Yeah.
just like the other week.
Yeah.
He's been in stuff like True Detective. He just headed the season of True Detective and was just like he's
Right.
probably gonna get what's the award for TV? A
Yeah,
Golden
Golden
Globe.
Globe.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
an
or an
Emmy.
Emmy,
Yeah.
yeah.
He's probably gonna get an Emmy for that. And he was in House of Cards. He's
Yeah.
been in a lot of shit.
He was in Luke Cage.
Yeah. Oh, right.
He's the best part of Luke Cage.
He was in like that football game that EA puts out every year. He was in the story mode. He's been in a lot of shit, right? He's in Moonlight.
Yeah, Moonlight, yeah.
And how did they misuse an actor like this
Right.
badly in this movie?
Yeah, I
like,
know.
It's just so stale.
Casting was correct though.
Sure.
Yeah, they nailed
Yeah,
it.
like I'm glad the
Yeah,
casting
oh, yeah,
was correct.
right.
When I first saw him, I was like, oh yeah.
Same with Christoph Waltz. I feel like he's like a really good fit for Ido or Ido.
I mean,
So I guess the
you're
misuse
right,
is the
but
script
like,
then,
I'm not
right?
buying the age that he is for what he's doing.
That's true.
Like he's going out by
He
night
feels
and
pretty-
killing people with a propelled
Oh
axe or
yeah,
whatever.
I thought he should have been a bit more like,
young.
young. Yeah,
he
like
should have
maybe
been
10 years younger.
or his fighting should have been
More like mechanically
less
assisted.
skillful.
Yeah.
Yeah, more kind of like he's slow and you can dodge him, but if he hits you, then
You're
you're
fucked,
dead.
yeah.
But,
Wait, but I think we did get that. I think that's what we
I
were
wanted
getting.
it a little more, to
Okay,
be honest,
yeah.
because it didn't feel believable given how old he was.
He
Like,
didn't
I
kind of
wanted-
seem like a weird old man with a big weapon he couldn't wield.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted it more. I don't know.
Yeah, it was
so when you're saying like, I guess they're. Did they not really bring it with the performance, or is it like not a strong enough script?
I think the writing, man. Dude, the writing
I
was
think it's the
bad.
writing too. Yeah.
Yeah,
just-
I mean Christoph Waltz has an Oscar too, so
It's true, yeah.
Jennifer Connelly, I think was good at just playing it flat. I don't know. Was
That
that good
character
acting
is
or was
pretty
that
flat from
Yeah.
the OVA to begin with.
Yeah, so
to
she
be
was probably
honest.
fine, but like
Sharon,
yeah, even Christoph Waltz is just like flat as well. And I
just-
know that these
yeah.
people are good actors, so like
yeah. The person playing Alita, Rosa Salazar, is the best.
she's the best. Yeah.
yeah actor.
But even then,
Performance
for
in
like
the
the
movie.
first half of the movie, it's like really like, oh god,
Yeah.
oof.
Like, even then, I'm like, was she acting well, or did I just want to look at her face all the time because it was CG?
Yeah, it's like, is there something just, like, freakishly weird
like,
about
I just
this?
want to look at it more.
They can make it emote better.
Yeah, but no, I think she was actually good
Yeah.
in the movie. Yeah.
Also, we had a surprise appearance from Edward Norton at the
Did you guys realize it was him?
No, not until he took off the glasses, and then I laughed.
Yeah, that was really funny.
I knew it was him instantly.
Really?
Yeah, with the glasses on, I'm like, how did they get Edward Norton? How did they get
That's
Edward
so
Norton?
funny.
Maybe it's because I'm such a big fan. But yeah, how? I don't understand.
That's so
funny.
bizarre.
He's fucking dressed like
So
Rick from
bizarre.
Rick and Morty too.
Yeah.
And the big hulking guy with like the fingers that turn into whips or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that guy was the dude from The Watchmen who plays Rorschach.
Oh?
Like, yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Rorschach?
I just like looked it up. Yeah, I forget the
What?
dude's name.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
The guy who's like the ginger man?
Yeah.
That's so bizarre.
Yep, he is. I just looked it up.
Wow.
Like,
Which
how
guy
weird is that?
played
Yeah.
Rorschach. Also, we had a small appearance from Jai Courtney. I did actually catch that.
Who's that?
He's like one of the motorball champions.
But like, who is that? Should I know that person?
Oh, who's Jai Courtney?
Yeah.
Oh, he's just like an actor. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
He was in
Oh,
Suicide
he's the-
Squad.
right.
He was in Terminator Genesis.
Oh, that dude. Yeah.
Yeah.
He didn't do anything.
Yeah, he was in very little. Oh, and Michelle Rodriguez played one of the cyborg warriors from Mars.
She's
in
the female one
flashbacks.
that trains
Yeah, right.
Alita.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Also,
Which makes total sense. I also guessed that right away. I'm like, because I know she's tied in with like Robert Rodriguez and stuff. I'm like, that is the girl from
Really?
Lost. Yeah,
Yeah.
that I've seen. Yeah,
Yeah.
just with big,
dude, I don't know where I was in
bulging
this
bug eyes.
movie, picking it up one by one, spotting actors.
Also, did you find it funny? I found it super funny how the nurse had 0 lines, but there's so many times that there's just a close-up on her face reacting to
Yeah,
things.
it got to the point where I'm like, oh, so this is hilarious actually because they paid you to be like an extra, but you're like this character who should have lines, but they don't want to give you like a couple more $1,000. To say words,
So it's just like,
but at a certain point, she does
surprised,
say like
look sad.
meaningless words, like
Look like
"Oh,
a mom."
He's waiting for you over here, or like he's gonna heal up nice. Like,
She's the one who says, like, oh, I guess she's older than we thought.
Yeah.
But even though we know she's over 300 years
So
old.
bizarre.
But yeah.
That was really
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah, okay.
yeah, man. So Alita's body can just change at will. Like
That
if
was
she wants a
weird.
gun arm, do you think like she can just have a gun arm now?
No.
I mean, that
Maybe,
sounds a lot
yeah.
like the original title.
It's weird that it can heal,
Right.
though.
like Gunnm.
Oh yeah, I was gonna. I was
Gunmu.
That's one of my
Yeah.
notes that I wrote down for the for while watching the OVA is that the original title of the series is Gunnm, which
Gunmu.
is insanely stupid, but it translates to gun dream. So okay, literally means gun dream.
I feel like that might be a stretch of a translation, but okay.
Well, no, like it literally means that. It's not a translation. Like Gunmu means gun dream. Yep, take that in. Welcome to the 80s of manga. Also, like English translating this title to Battle Angel Alita is like somewhat cool, but also insanely stupid. But keeping that in 2019 as Alita: Battle Angel is possibly the worst thing. Like that's the one thing you should have changed outright.
Probably, yeah.
Nobody wants to
dumb.
watch Alita Battle Angel as a title. I mean, right? That's so stupid.
I like how they try to make a weird, like, subtle reference to it
Yeah.
a couple times in the film where, like, I think it might have been in the roller derby shit where they're like, she's got the face of an angel and a body of a battle person.
Yeah.
It's like, what?
It's very stupid.
It's like, holy shit. Fucking please chill the fuck out.
Yeah. One thing I want to bring up from the OVA is that there's a part at the beginning where Alita finds out that Ito is like a hunter. What do you call them?
I don't know.
Whatever. A hunter?
Bounty hunter, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
bounty
they
hunter
use
of
a
some
different
sort.
word, yeah.
Yeah,
Hunter,
it's something
killer.
hunter. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
And she's like, I want to be a hunter too. And he's like, no, all you need to do is be beautiful.
Oh, yeah!
I took the same note. I took the
Oh
same
my
note.
God.
Which is
It's
like,
why isn't this enough
yeah,
for you?
hilariously demeaning.
Right.
Hunter Warrior, by the way.
Hunter warrior. Right.
Yeah, I took the same note.
Yeah.
Quite funny.
Right. Oh, also in the OVA, they make like a bigger deal of needing like the brain and the spine of somebody to like put them into another body, but they don't really make that same connection in this movie.
But see, I thought that was kind of cool because it's like, oh, so there's like a purpose for the organic part of a cyborg. It's like, oh, because spines are harder to replicate or whatever.
It's like in Metal Gear Solid 4 when Raiden comes back and he's like a mech, but the spine is still there, I believe, and his head.
It's exactly the same. Yeah. He's missing his jaw.
His lower jaw, yeah.
Everything else is chilling.
Also in the OVA, when Alita like rescues Ito, she just fully kicks or punches the enemy's head off, like clean off, like immediately.
Yeah.
And they kind of do that because she's fighting two people at once, and like she shoves the woman's head like into a metal door,
and then her body falls off.
Yeah,
that's pretty. Yeah, that's weird. Oh yeah, in the OVA, she like split some guy in two with just her fingers. Did she not? Or like cut off the arm initially with just her fingers because she didn't have like a weapon at the beginning. Or maybe she like punched them so hard. I don't remember. But she did something with no weapon and it caused dismemberment. And I was like, well, fuck.
Right. Yeah, this was pretty like gory, quote unquote, like teenage gore for a movie like this, right?
Yeah.
There was more blood than I expected, more swearing than I expected.
Also, I was referring to the OVA, not not in the
right,
film.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. There's a lot of edginess.
Yeah. Like,
for
I
something
appreciated
rated
that.
14A.
Yeah, for something that was so cheesy in like all the other regards.
Yeah. I feel like I would have been happier if they did commit to a bit more of a serious tone and just sort of amped everything up and took out all the child-friendly nonsense. But I mean, I guess for something of this scale, you kind of need mass appeal to justify spending that much money on it anyways.
Right. Man, I'm still really weirded out by the fact that she had a child body and then her body was hot, like later on.
Okay, also
that's really weird, man.
when it shape-shifted, it didn't change that much. It like sort of like
it just smoothed it out.
Yeah, it made it less complicated, like architecturally. It like made it look like she had metal plating instead of like the
wires
Transformers in the new movie are just like a jumble of metal. Right. It made her like turn into a 1980s Transformer.
Right, where it's like more flat surfaces.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, also,
I like how she never complained about her hairstyle either. Like, she didn't have that hair initially.
She's born into it, yeah.
Like, she could have been blonde or, like, buzz cut, or, like, she could have had a mohawk like that one dude who she told to watch his hair or whatever the hell.
Yeah.
Also, oh my god, she's brutal. She cut off that man's face at the end of the movie.
That was sick.
Yeah.
Like, she's honestly so mean. I think she's, like, she is actually evil. She just also wants to take down the evil man.
That character had a lot more importance in the film than it did in the OVA.
Yes.
They also gave that character way more personality, I think. It's a corny personality, but it's a personality as opposed to just some guy who gets tricked into... well, not tricked, but he catches Yugo and his buddy and cuts his buddy in half and yada yada.
Right.
He gets set on fire.
Yeah. I don't know. Did people complain about the casting of this movie at all? Like how they did about Ghost in the Shell?
No.
I don't know. Ethnicity-wise, I don't know. I wasn't keeping tabs on that either.
I don't think there's any sort of controversy regarding that.
Okay. Interesting. Let us know in the comments if we're wrong.
Yeah, maybe. I haven't really been up on it. So could be. Oh yeah, one thing I wanted to bring up was the idea of the love story in both the OVA and
the fact that it was really weak.
Yeah, it's like stupid in both, but it's stupid for different reasons.
Well, they definitely made it make a lot more sense in this movie,
right? Because it's not the typical like 80s anime. I love you, okay, like just out of nowhere.
Yeah. In the OVA, that definitely happens while they're both standing on a fucking wire leading up to this floating city.
Yeah, literally.
I love you too.
Okay, bye. Like, it just makes no sense. But I mean, like, it kind of goes hand in hand with the pacing of the OVA. But yeah, even in this, I feel like it's, like you brought up earlier, it's that born sexy yesterday complex where it's just like so weird and unsettling.
Yeah.
Like this guy's obviously like a teenager and he finds this thing that is the semblance of a teenage girl and he's like, oh, I'm gonna I love you now, I guess.
Right.
And she's like, well, I guess I don't know any other teenage boys my age, so I guess I love you too. It's like, fuck, man. Like, who are they trying to sell with this? And like, even though they had more time to kind of like know each other and whatever, like, what do they do? What do they mean to each other truly? Nothing.
God, and there's that one scene where she's like, oh, I have a new body now, so I have all these new receptors and like capacitive sensors that can feel a lot more. And he's like, okay, well, I'm just going to use that to kiss the same mouth that can feel the same amount as it could 5 minutes ago. They definitely fucked off screen, right? Like, this movie's too sexual for me. Like, tone it down, Robert Rodriguez.
It's pretty heavy-handed.
Yeah.
In certain regards, but
yeah, man,
yeah.
It's for kids, bro. God.
Yeah, again with the tonal inconsistency, where they don't quite know which where to put their where to stand on like any of that.
Yeah, but I gotta say, just like I guess to wrap it up, I appreciate how much they stuck to the original. I appreciate the like pickaxe that Ito uses that has a jet engine at the back that he uses to slam into people.
Right.
I appreciate how all the costumes felt the same, how the areas felt the same, and you can draw direct parallels to what they were trying to show in the original.
In terms of design, I'm pretty impressed.
Yeah.
Like as far as the CG goes, it did a great job of capturing, that sort of claustrophobic feel of like a future city, it's slum area, whatever.
Right.
Although the color palettes were like a little bit samey, there's a lot of yellow going on in the film. I don't know if you guys took that in, but like even when they show like Zalem and stuff, it's always either in like light that casts it as yellow, and the only contrast to that otherwise is like blue shadows in the cityscapes and whatever. But I felt visually the OVA might have been like nicer to look at. Like 90s 80s anime aesthetic aside, just as far as like CG can go, it did a good job.
Also, it's got to be like a sci-fi trope that like after a big war, there's a big floating city, and all the people who aren't worth shit like are underneath that city living their own slum lives.
Like
right. I mean, it reminded me of Blade Runner. Totally.
Right.
Is there a floating city in that?
No,
everyone's in space colonies, and the people who live on Earth are like.
It reminded me,
yeah.
It reminded me exactly of the video game Destiny and Destiny 2, because there's a floating fucking thing in the sky, and right underneath that is where everybody lives.
Also,
and explores.
like District 9. There's just like a million different comparisons you can draw.
Does Elysium also have that?
Yeah, isn't that the premise of that's the premise of the whole thing? There's like a magic city full of rich people up top, or some shit like that.
Right, just a sci-fi trope, I guess.
Yeah. But I mean, like, for what it's worth, this was one that was established a while ago. Yeah. And they're just trying to stay true to it, because someone's gonna throw a fit if they didn't.
Exactly, yeah. So, like, yeah, I think I have one last question. Where do you guys stand on like the anime adaptation spectrum? So there's this on one end, which is intentional, or like very, very true to what the original is like. At least the original OVA. Can't speak to the manga, as I said before. There's maybe the middle, which is like Ghost in the Shell, that changes just a bit and remixes things.
Right, and they it's almost like elements of different parts of like different arcs and
like
whatever.
A remix of that original movie. And then on the other end of the spectrum is Death Note.
I knew you were going there.
Which changes almost every aspect. And it's still a remix to some extent, but it's like, take everything you know and throw it out the window.
Sure.
Balls to the wall, different.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
It's
what do you
funny,
prefer?
because none of them have been good.
None of them have been great, I'd say.
Yeah.
Like, this movie is good.
I was going to say
not great.
This is the best one of the three, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
But I'd still probably rather watch Ghost in the Shell than the movie.
Yeah, you know
Maybe
what?
Maybe it's because I think Ghost in the Shell is just a better story.
Yeah, it's just cooler.
Overall.
Yeah.
And like the original Ghost in the Shell is just better and everything's more fleshed out. But I think this, this does the best job. Taking into account what source material it is.
Right.
I would say that that this is the best. I don't necessarily. I mean, yes, it was very faithful, but like once again, I like that it kind of fleshed out the story more.
Yeah.
Because it made. It feel like the story just felt more complete.
It's definitely more comfortable to consume in that way because you're kind of used to that format.
Right.
Yeah, and I thought the CG was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought the CG was very good.
So I guess I prefer this. Yeah,
I think, like, yeah.
I'd say that, like, for the three things I just said, so Death Note and Ghost in the Shell in this, if they all had a sequel, like, coming out on the same day, like a sequel movie.
Which one would you see first?
I'd probably rather see Ghost in the Shell than Alita.
Sure.
Because I just feel like it would have more interesting aspects to it, whereas like Alita, I always know I'm going to be feeling the cheese every minute.
Right.
Even though it's like, it always kept me interested. Like, I was along for the ride the entire time. I was never bored. I always wanted to know what happened next, so it was good in that respect. For me personally, I think Death Note would have the most potential, but it wouldn't be the best movie. It just, when adaptations are done like that, they have the most potential in my mind to like make me feel something I haven't felt before from the thing.
Right.
Like, Alita will never make me feel something that the original didn't.
Right.
Probably, unless it's a sick action scene, I guess.
Yeah, I probably agree with you too. I'd probably go to see Ghost in the Shell because I like Ghost in the Shell the most. I'd be very interested to see where Death Note goes, though.
Yeah,
I'd be most interested to see where Death Note goes.
Just because it's so fucking off the wall different.
Yeah, and I think Alita would probably do the best job out of the three.
Ooh, something just came to mind.
Most likelihood.
Before, Brennan, you say your final thing, this is very similar to me to the Full Metal live action thing on Netflix that they did. Except this is the way you do it right, which is like trying your hardest not fucking anything up.
Yeah.
Whereas the Full Metal movie was just like, how do we get through every plot point as fast as possible in 2 hours? And also we're going to fuck everything up because every character sucks.
I'm pretty sure we did an episode on that. I can't remember. I think we did.
We did.
Yeah,
we did.
We did.
Yeah, that was not good.
I fucking despise that.
Yeah,
really
that movie
wrong.
was not good.
Yeah.
So stupid. Yeah.
Yeah.
Brennan, what do you think on the spectrum of adaptations?
I think when it comes to like anime adaptations as a whole, I've got a lot of mixed emotions because on one hand, I'm like a staunch believer that certain feelings and certain experiences that are inherent to a medium should be recognized like in their original medium because it's what gives that medium merit. Right. So something being a great anime makes it a great anime, and so you should consume it as a great anime so you know what great anime is like. On the other hand, it's like a nice thing to expose people who might not have heard otherwise of like this story or even like this genre of media to new things. It's like, how many people do you think right now are either reading the Alita manga or like watching the OVA? Like if you go on like any given like anime streaming site and you jump to the Alita OVA, people are like, oh, getting ready for the movie in the comments. Mm-hmm. So it serves the purpose of spreading the gospel of like potentially good anime.
When the trailer came out for this movie, Alita Battle Angel, I saw the manga like front on the like store shelves at like our Chapters or Indigo, whatever Canadian bookstore you want to go to.
It's like a Barnes and Noble in Canada.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, Borders in the US. Another bookstore.
Oh, I didn't know that was a thing.
I haven't heard of that one either.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's like a good thing, in that way. I don't necessarily think that like a 1-for-1 remake is of like merit necessarily, because you're not getting anything new from it besides like repurposing it to maybe something more digestible. And if I'm already someone who likes anime and the things that anime does differently from any other sort of visual media, I just want to see it in that format. Like I have no reason to see like a CG Alita battle a bunch of CG cyborgs, because I'd rather see that in a 2D format.
Right.
If you can give me a new anime that looks similar to that or like has similar themes, I'd be more likely to watch that than something referencing the original but doing it in this style. But yeah, when it comes to making things different, I feel like the part of me that's attached to the franchise and its original like state of being and what that might have meant to me at one point is just gonna get in the way of any new thing that this thing tries. And I'm going to be in a position where I want to shoot it down because it's not fulfilling the same need. So it's like a really tricky place. Like when it comes to Death Note, like we're on opposite ends here, where you enjoyed it for what it was. But like for me, I just couldn't help but feel insulted because I love the original Death Note so much.
Right.
Not to say that like I'm against innovation, and I do think it's possible, especially when you take something like anime and bring it to like live action film. There's potential there, and like our CG technology is just getting crazier and crazier, and like things are looking better. And who's to say, like, I don't know, maybe 10 years from now they find a way to make live action CG more stylized than it already is. Maybe this is just me being burnt out by like stuff like Transformers and just shitty AAA movies that come out and just sort of hammer the same things home, like the same visual aesthetics home. Like, unrelated, I watched Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse not that long ago, and I was completely blown away. Not that the story was anything that I didn't expect from a Spider-Man movie or like of that world, but it was so visually interesting. There was so much dynamic stuff going on that it like kept my attention the whole way through, and I walked out of the theater like with my mind blown. Like, I think it's possible to get to those levels of creativity in like real life CG sci-fi filmmaking eventually. I just think we're not there yet, but I don't know, someone with vision could do it and make it cool. So there's potential, but as of right now, I could leave it.
Nice.
You know, it would be really sick to see an anime version of Blade Runner. That would be sick.
Yeah,
Wait,
just like...
Didn't we literally get that?
No?
With that little
the Blade Runner
2049
anime, like,
Oh, that like 15-minute... I'm talking about a whole series.
Of like retelling the events of the movie, you mean? Or just
And
like unrelated?
the movie in between, like that world. Like, movie in between 2049. I'm
I
just
could be
talking in
down.
that world. That
Oh,
would be
you don't
sick.
mean a retelling of the...
Not
Blade
necessarily.
Runner
It could be, but it also could just be that world. Very interesting. I
would
like
be
Blade
down.
Runner a lot, and I'm reading the book right now that is based on.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be
Yeah,
down
just
for
that world retiring androids or whatever. It's so cool.
Right.
Anyway.
Yeah, maybe we'll talk about this after. You might have to sell me a little bit more on that.
No.
It's like, okay, right. Okay, then I'm not interested. Yeah, I guess I'll wrap this up. Like, if we have any closing thoughts, I'll start. Shit, I forgot what I was going to say.
I feel like those were our closing thoughts. But if I were to say more, I would just say, pretty good movie. Wouldn't recommend it to anyone. But I also wouldn't tell someone to not see it. It's entertaining. It's like fun-ish.
Pretty neutral for you.
Yeah, good CG.
Fair.
Yeah, it's like a good feel-nothing movie.
Won't change your life, but like I don't really... yeah, like I said at the beginning, I'm not like thinking about it anymore. It hasn't changed me in any way. You know, someone asked me what I did this weekend, I might not even bring it up. I don't know.
Fair.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, same. But one thing I want to say, yeah, I thought the movie was good, and I agree with everything you just said. But I want to end on a high note, personally.
Sure.
I think it's Warner Brothers, the movie studio, has just started to get serious, like now, about making the sequel to Live, Die, Repeat, which is another anime adaptation, or manga adaptation. Can't wait for Tom Cruise to come back. Kick some ass. Full Metal Bitch. Let's do it.
Oh my god. I forgot.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
So that's what I'm looking forward to. The greatest manga adaptation I've ever seen.
Yeah, that was... yeah. Definitely... yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, my closing thoughts. I enjoyed this experience. I liked the OVA, and I can say that I wasn't offended by the live-action adaptation, which is more than I can ask for, honestly. So yeah, it was good.
And I guess with that, we're going to wrap it up, right?
Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah. So I guess, yeah, we've been the ShonenChumps. If you want to ever reach out to us, you can do so at ShonenChumps@gmail.com or tweet at us. We're also there. We're also on Facebook at ShonenChumps on everything. And yeah, you can listen to us on the Google Play, the Apple iTunes podcast store,
on YouTube, and most apps where you get your podcasts. So if you check us out on one, maybe check us out on the other for a change. Shake up your life. Who knows?
Yeah, change it up.
Something good might happen.
Yeah. And those of you who've been in contact with us, thank you so much for giving a shit about anything we do. A bunch of you sent us emails, which is very sweet and very nice.
It's shout-out time.
Sophie from Australia, thank you for enjoying our podcast and for emailing us.
Yeah,
it was very
Zeddy
lovely.
Zavrik, you gave us a recommendation for animes to check out. Thank you. Caleb, you're pretty cool. You told us that you love us. You spelled our names wrong, but that's okay.
We love you anyway.
Because we never told you how to spell our names.
That's true.
Yeah, Braxton from the airport emailing us. Hope you caught your flight eventually.
And so many more people. It's crazy. We like the last 6 months, we've barely done any podcasts. We've done, this is the second one.
Yeah.
And the fact that people are still emailing us or even telling us that they, that they want to hear more, that they like what we've already been doing is pretty cool. It gives us more incentive to record podcasts together. We've all got busy lives.
Yeah, it's
been
Brennan and I live like an hour apart.
Yeah.
So like
I'm in the middle. I'm Sean, by the way.
Yeah.
I realized I didn't say anything through that spiel, but yeah, I love each and every one of the people who listen to us and like reach out to us, whether or not you're in Australia or bored as fuck in your airport, or just recommending us an anime, or even just saying hi to us. Whatever.
We appreciate you. Every single one of you.
Right.
You're all born sexy yesterday.
Oh, God.
Is that a compliment? Maybe it's not.
Yeah, I really don't know if it is.
Yeah.
That's an interesting note to end on.
Yeah, shoutouts to... let me revise that. You're all chumps. You're all
This
sexy
gets
chumps.
worse and worse.
You're all
Wait,
sexy
I know how to
chumps.
make it worse, Brendan. I have something I need to address in this podcast.
Oh, no.
I know, this is
Get the
actually
censor
not good.
ready.
Yeah, get the censor ready. Okay, so everybody, if you've been a longtime fan of this podcast, oh, by the way, I hope everybody that we shouted out is still listening to this podcast and is still here to hear us shout them out, right?
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah. Okay, so in almost every podcast that we've recorded, I've brought up a voice actor that I've been a huge fan of throughout my life. Like as a child, I even emailed them once as a kid, asking them if they were going to be at a convention, and they responded to me and said yes. And we constantly shout them out as like the one actor that we're a fan of on the show.
Yeah, this warrants a lot of talking about, at least.
That actor is Vic Mignogna, who acted as like Edward Elric in Full Metal Alchemist and Broly in the new Broly movie, or all the Broly movies. All we want to say is that the stuff's weird. Man's weird. This situation's not good.
Yeah, it's pretty disheartening to see any of that come out, but also at the same time, you're kind of like, yeah, you know what? It lines up just about right. But,
Sure.
like,
So
fuck.
from now on, I'm not going to shout that guy out anymore.
Yeah, fuck it.
Yeah.
Full Metal Alchemist is a great series in and of itself and on its own, but
Yeah, nothing can ruin the love for Full Metal, but we don't tolerate bad behavior.
yeah, that's some real fuck shit right there.
Yeah.
And that doesn't fly in the Chumps camp.
The reason I didn't get the censor ready, because I actually didn't know what you were going to talk. I didn't know you were even going to be talking about him.
Oh, really?
Like, I just thought you were just going to say some random...
Here comes some radical opinion from
I just
Sean.
thought you were going to make some, like, joke.
Oh, right.
or something that would, like, one-up me.
Oh.
But anyway, back to the seriousness. No, we don't fuck with that.
That's some
And,
dumb nonsense.
Yeah, like
anime is more than that. More than one actor.
And people
Yeah,
taking
and
advantage of their positions of power is a load of bullshit. And it
yeah,
fucking
whether that be
sucks.
with coworkers or fans.
It's
that's
really sucky.
A little odd.
It's very disappointing. A little odd.
Yeah,
Well, that's the way I phrased it.
Right.
But yeah. But yeah, I wouldn't necessarily be addressing any of this if it wasn't somebody that we shouted out, like
On the
literally on the
regs.
regular. Yeah.
Fun story. We actually, at the beginning of this podcast, or when we were getting this stuff kind of ready to go with all of our like art and branding and music and all this shit, we were kind of considering getting like a voice shout out from him in
paying that service thing,
because
like,
he does that. If you weren't aware, he was I don't know if he still does this anymore, maybe he does because he doesn't make any more money, but where he'd like say whatever you wanted in his Edward Elric voice, and we're gonna be like, oh, say something about ShonenChumps. That'll be a fun thing.
Right.
But I guess we dodged a bullet there.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's shout-outs to us not having money and not paying for that.
Fuck
Because,
yeah,
it was a
we're
good decision
broke.
because if we had, we would have discontinued it at this moment.
Yeah.
Right.
Now.
But yeah, in all seriousness, instead of just shitting on Vic Mignogna, instead of just being angry, I want to let you listeners know that if you're sad about what he did and like the fall of this guy that you used to respect, know that I'm there with you.
Yeah, and
There's true sadness in this moment.
Don't let like one individual's shitty actions ruin like a piece of art for you. Disconnect the two and just enjoy Full Metal Alchemist. Because it's still worth enjoying.
And the Broly movie. Honestly, fuck, that movie is so fucking good.
We're never going to podcast it, but like we saw it.
I actually haven't seen it, but go on.
Yeah.
Oh, sure. I mean, I guess all there is to say about it really is that it's probably the best Dragon Ball has ever been.
Yeah.
Or maybe just ever will be. It's great.
It's really fucking good.
In terms of writing, pacing, animation, it's beautiful. It's amazing.
Yeah. And on that note, we've been the ShonenChumps.
We still are the ShonenChumps.
And we will always be the ShonenChumps. Love you. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.